Hey everyone, it's Simon here. Today we're going to jump into a powered cube draft. Hopefully we open something sweet. Alright, what do we got in this pack? Doesn't look super powerful to start, so we're probably going to have to take a weaker option or a speculative pick here. So strongest cards, we've got LED if we want to go the combo route. Ancient Tomb is just a powerful colorless land. I quite like the Jeskai colors in this version of the cube. So they recently nerfed Boros for the second iteration of the cube, but I still think it's quite good. I think Jeskai is probably even better. There's an argument to take the Jit or the Cloud. I think let's just take Ancient Tomb, stay a little bit more open for now. That's going to be super good if we do end up in white-red aggro, if we end up in an artifact shell. And I just don't think there's enough support to take an LED this early. Alright, next up. So I've got a few good options in this pack. Lelia, very strong card. Good in blue-red, good in white-red. Less good in black-red if you're doing like reanimation style stuff. You want to make sure you can actually cast the card off it. Quantum Riddler, quite strong as well. Showdown of the Skulls, this is a surprisingly strong card. I think it gets overlooked a bit, but I think in this version of the cube, it is actually pretty crazy. Here, I think I'm just going to take the Lelia, and then I guess it's worth noting we've got a few different pieces that we could wheel here. So I can see Thraben Inspector, Lion Sash, Intrepid Adversary coming back. Good to keep an eye on any equipment that's floating around, because if we do end up white and pick up that cloud, it's nice to know if there's something else that we can wheel or something that's just fully gone. Alright, next up, alright, this is easily our best card so far. We've got a Fury. So pretty happy to end up with that. What else is in this pack? We've got two Sweepers in white. We've got a few different black cards. They're not super powerful. Ralgren Triome, like I said, I quite like the Jeskai colors, and honestly, ending up Jeskai is really good, so I'd say that's probably my second pick from this pack if the Fury wasn't here. Fallen Shinobi, also probably one of the better blue-black cards. I think you want to play a bit of a fairer deck rather than going all in on something like Reanimator if you want to have success in this version of the cube, and Fallen Shinobi is a pretty good card for that. Alright, we've got our Fury. Let's see if we can keep getting some nice cards. Alright, well, best card here by a lot is Solitude. I guess in red we've got Overlord, which isn't terrible, but I don't really love playing this card, and given we've got a 3-drop and a 5-drop so far, I mean, technically, Fury can be free, but I would much rather take another free spell in Solitude than Overlord. Any other signals from this pack? Not really. Some green cards that aren't super good, some lands that aren't super good. Shelldog's not too bad. I quite like this card. I think you can get away with it in this version of the cube a lot more than the last version. But really easy Solitude here. Alright. Love me a Fiery Confluence. That card's great. Suplex is solid as well. I like Staff of the Storyteller if we wanted another white card. Andoril is playable as another piece of equipment to keep an eye on. And Preordain, so a little bit of a blue signal here as well. But yeah, pretty happy with where we are at the moment. Okay. So Unexpectedly Absent, quite a good removal spell. Just hits any target, which you really want. We've got Grim Lavamancer. So at the moment, we have essentially nothing that goes to the graveyard. So you really want to have like fetch lands. I mean, Baubles can be good. It's quite good in blue-red when you've got stuff like Preordain to fill the yard for Grim Lavamancer as well. I think fixing is super important in this version of the cube. We did get that Solitude reasonably late, so I'm pretty happy to pick up this Sunbillow Verge and sort of see where we go from there. I think alternatively, I'd probably be taking the Absent, but I'm less keen to have sort of two double white cards, two double red cards, and an Ancient Tomb. So let's take the responsible pick here and then see where we go. Alright, few interesting pieces here. Definitely a couple of blue cards that are good. So I like Brazen Borrower quite a bit. Fairy Mastermind is just okay. White-blue land. Carnage Interpreter I don't really love with what we've got so far. Just because our curve is a little bit too high to really be able to empty our hand, get value off this, and then cast our spells after cracking clues. So I'm pretty happy to just take a Lightning Helix here. It's a pretty solid removal spell. I mean, the way this is going, I'm hoping we can end up red-white or some variant of Jeskai. So let's just pick up a solid removal spell here. Okay, Naya, I quite like this card. It's basically the best Abbot of Keep effect they've printed, where you play it, you get to exile the top card, and you can play it for as long as you have the creature. So they can kill it in response to the trigger to stop you from getting the card, but it's quite powerful. It's quite strong when you flip it as well, so you can cast the other side. I've done that quite a bit. You can use Caracas to bounce this back to your hand and replay it. I think it's a good bit stronger than Amped Raptor. So let's go ahead and take that. Pretty happy to end up with a 2-drop. Alright, so pretty much every white card and the red cards have wheeled from this pack as well. Jit is gone. I think based on our curve, we can't really make Cosmic Grand Zenith work. Anointed Peacekeeper isn't bad. I think we're just going to take the Cloud. It's double white, but there's also a Lion Sash and an Android that we might wheel from these packs. We're pretty good on removal at the moment, otherwise I would consider this Mind Collapse, but let's speculate a little bit on Cloud. Okay, Showdown of the Skulls. I'm pretty happy with that. I think this was the Lion Sash pack, but that's alright. Honestly, you kind of don't really want to run Lion Sash unless you have to. Part of that is Reanimator's a lot weaker, so you don't necessarily need that graveyard interaction, and because this is best of one, you're not going to sideboard it in either. Alright, 2 of the white cards have come back from this double sweeper pack. I mean, honestly, we're probably not playing either of these anyway. I'll just grab one for the board regardless. Alright, Overlord, reasonably playable. We'll see how we go. I mean, this Ancient Tomb is carrying our deck at the moment because our curve is quite high. So there's a world where this makes it in, but realistically, it would be great if we didn't have to play it. None of these really make sense. Spellbomb's probably the best card there. Alright, a couple of green cards and a Memory Jar. Alright, do we have some power? Oh, sweet, we do. Alright. Soul Ring, I think, is actually super good for us, given our curve situation. Might have been the best card we could open, honestly. Alright, so that's an easy pick. Let's take a look and figure out if there's anything that we can wheel here and factor that in. Of note, Andril didn't come back either in the last pack. So there's a chance somebody's opened Stoneforge Mystic, so we're not really going to see any equipment for Cloud. We'll keep an eye out for Skull Clamp, but low sort of probability that we'll end up doing that. There's a chance we'll wheel Gideon from this pack. Obviously, our curve's kind of high at the moment, but Gideon is pretty reasonable with the Tomb and the Soul Ring. So let's keep an eye on that and see where we land. Okay. Alright, I think this is probably just a pretty safe pick. Let's take a pick for our mana. Plateau versus Windswept Teeth here. We've got the Sunbillow Verge. It's not a fetchable land, so I think we should just take Plateau and sort of secure that a little bit, and then any other red or white fetch lands we see will be really good. Otherwise, we'd really just be looking for a Sacred Foundry or something. The Ralgren Triome's already gone. We don't necessarily want many tap lands in this deck either if we can avoid it. So yeah, easy Plateau. Alright, this pick is interesting as well. So we have Eagles of the North. So as a Planescycler, this is functionally a fetch land. So basically we could now go ahead and get that Plateau if we wanted to. Sometimes you can hardcast this as well. It's pretty infrequent. It's probably one of the weaker ones to hardcast compared to the other land cyclers from Lord of the Rings. Alternatively, we've got Chandra, which is quite strong. Or Gaia's Cradle can sometimes be good in these red-white decks. We don't really have a good setup for it at the moment. I think here, given our curve is reasonably high, there's a chance we wheel another 4-drop in Gideon. and we've got the plateau, I'm pretty happy to just take this Eagles of the North here, and we'll sort of see how we develop. Alright, so I think we immediately get rewarded. We've got Elspeth Stormslayer. I think this card has actually been super impressive. You'd think 5 mana Planeswalker, generally pretty replaceable in cube. You don't necessarily have to prioritize those pieces. If you look at our deck, you see we've got a lot of top end already. But I think this card is just excellent. It just does everything. It's like a 1-card win con. You can answer your opponent's permanents. Really strong. If it wasn't here, I would take Containment Priest. If neither of these cards were here, I'd probably speculate on 3 mana Teferi, and then see if we could set up a bit of a splash just based off some of the blue signals we were seeing in pack 1 as well. I think there's probably a good chance that we do, see a few more good blue pieces. So we'll see how that goes for us. All right, next up, this pack is interesting as well. So Lutri is the card that really stands out to me here. It's a free spell, so having access to it is really good, particularly when we've got Fury already. So we could just put Lutri into our hand, pitch it to Fury for 3 mana, which can be quite powerful. Alternatively, there's an Inti. We do want some more bottom end. I don't feel like Inti's super good given how high our curve is, because we'll just be discarding cards and it's more likely we won't be able to necessarily cast the cards in that turn. So we'll take Lutri. I don't think we need a Braid. I think we've got enough removal at the moment. And a Braid is probably one of the weaker pieces here as well. Oh, that doesn't seem to work, so I'll just move that to the sideboard. Alright, so now I've got a choice between Detectives Phoenix or Yera and Oski. Nothing else here really jumping out. Detectives Phoenix has been quite a good card. Given this, our curve as well, I think this could be quite good. A little bit of synergy with Eagles of the North. You can plane cycle this and then pay the bestow cost on Phoenix. So let's get this in here for hopefully some hasty wins. Interesting. All right, so there's a Stoneforge Mystic. So someone's been picking up the equipment without having that. Urza's Saga is just an excellent card. I'm pretty happy to speculate on it. Our mana is actually really good at the moment, so having 2 colorless lands I don't mind as much, but that's going to give us access to the Sol Ring in some of our games, which I think is going to be quite good. Taking the Stoneforge doesn't really make that much sense when we've got the Cloud already with no equipment. So yeah, pretty happy to spec on this, and hopefully we'll find 1 extra cheap artifact. Hopefully we get a Mox or something like next pack. That would be great. Just going to take Tersa here. Alright. So this pack, the Gideon didn't wheel from this pack. We'll see if the Chandra is there in the next pack. None of this is super good for us. Let's just take the Portable Hole. It is an artifact for Urza's Saga, so it gives us a little bit of functionality there. This card's actually surprisingly good. You can use it to hit your opponent's Moxes in the early game as well. So pretty happy to run that. Nothing really for us here in this pack. I guess take the Brain Freeze. We've already passed the LED, so there's no real world where we try and breach anyone, but you never know. Blue-red land, in case we get a Time Walk or something, I guess. White-blue land for the same reason. Alright, pretty unlikely we play any of these cards. Alright, we get the Stoneforge anyway, so we'll see if we can make that work. Okay, so what do we got here? I think we definitely need to get some cheaper cards out of this pack. What is our non-creature count at the moment for Thalia? It's 6. Honestly, I think we just take the Dismember. This card is so good. It's so flexible. Thalia hasn't been super impressive in this version of the cube. I think you just sort of end up playing too many non-creature spells for it to be super effective. I think we've got enough top end that we don't really need something like the Wandering Emperor. to make our Soul Ring good. Soul Ring / Tomb good. So let's go ahead with this. So we probably need what, about 6 more playables to make this pack work. At the moment, we have the Stoneforge and the Cloud, which aren't going to make the final deck unless we can pick up some equipment. So we'll prioritize equipment quite highly. Looking at this pack, I think this is easy Fable of the Mirror Breaker. This card is just super strong. It's really nice to ramp into it as well. So it's going to play nicely with the Ring and the Tomb. You could potentially take Aluris. We'd have to main deck it. We don't really have anything great to flash back with the Aluris, so wouldn't love doing that. So yeah, not expecting to really wheel anything out of this pack. Okay, what do we got here? Another weak pack for us here. So we've got a Rampaging Raptor, which is probably going to be the pick. Nothing else is on color. Definitely feel like we're getting quite cut on this side now. That's all right. We'll push through and see what we get. Okay, a Ajani, that's perfect. This is probably the best 2-drop we could have opened. So, I mean, I guess maybe there was a piece of power in this pack. Someone else is white-red and we got to benefit from it. Potentially we could wheel a Steel Seraph here or Flame Slash. Might be getting a bit too late though, because it's quite likely something like Nettle Cyst is like always going to be in this pack when it comes back. And Copperline Gorge probably doesn't get picked that often either. Alright, very happy with the Ajani. Couple more picks like that and I think we'll be golden. Alright, Robber of the Rich versus Figure of Destiny. I think I'm just going to take the Figure here. I'm really interested in having a 1-drop. It double pitches, so it pitches to both the Fury and the Solitude. I think the main argument to taking Robber is that Figure might wheel more because it's going to end up in mostly the Boros decks. But I'm pretty happy picking that up here. Alright, unfortunately nothing for us in this pack. Alright, so let's take a look at our sideboard because we might be forced into a position where we do need to jam an extra colour to hit playables. So at the moment, we're best set up for white, for blue. So I guess we probably should just take the Tidebinder and hope it doesn't come to that, but you never know. Okay, this is a pretty solid pack for us. I think Joshua is a pretty decent card. Screaming Nemesis, pretty solid as well. I think we just take the Stadium Headliner though. We really need to drop our curve because yeah, at the moment, we are struggling a bit on playables. Okay, this is a great pack for us. We would take a lot of cards out of this pack. Nova Hellkite's been quite impressive. Our removal count, we've got quite a bit of removal, so I'm pretty confident just taking another 2-drop here. Makti and Itla, very strong. Artifacts entering tapped has been huge. I had an opponent accidentally play a Mana Vault into it the other day, so that entered tapped, and yeah, gave me a pretty easy win, so happy with that. Alright, easy Thalia, really glad that wheeled. If Thalia wasn't here, yeah, would definitely play that Hellrider. Yeah, I mean, we can get away with playing a Fire Blast. Okay, no more lies in case we do end up needing to play blue. I think that would be the best card for us. We can't do anything too interesting with Displacer Kitten, or at least nothing too reliable. Alright, so we didn't get back the Steel Seraph from this pack. I think, yeah, we'll just take the on-color card. Alright, Carnosaur. Alright, so we'll cut the Stoneforge and the Cloud. Cut this March as well. How's that looking? All right, a sneak attack. I don't think we'll play that one, but good to have the option. All right, so I think we've ended up in a pretty reasonable spot here. The loot tree probably isn't going to do too much for us. We've got what? We've got a lightning helix. We've got a dismember, a fiery confluence, or live the dream and like double fire blast them for lethal. So we'll keep that in mind as a few lines that we've got access to. I think it's okay to run 17 lands plus Eagles of the North here. So let's count our coloured sources. So we've got 8 white sources, 9 red sources, not counting the Eagles. Is that okay? Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. Alright. Let's go ahead and jump into the queue. Alright, so I've got our first opponent here. Alright, well, yeah, this hand is insane, so we'll definitely keep this. So this is double 2-drop on turn 2. And then we won't be able to play the Elspeth because of the Thalia. But that's alright. And that assumes our Sol Ring lives. Alright. So yeah, I'm just going to jam this Sol Ring out. And then if this gets countered or removed, we'll just play a 2-drop. Most likely the Thalia, but I guess it'll ultimately depend on what our opponent is doing. Okay, Palantir. So we're almost certainly just going to give them a card here. Okay, 2 bottom, you can... Oh, sorry, lose life. Lose life. We are not giving them a card. Wow, that was actually a big hit. So it just took 5 off the murderous card. Alright. So let's have a think about what we want to do here. So we could just Fury down the Felia. I think we might need to do that. Otherwise, it's just way too much pressure. This Felia can kill our Ajani token. So yeah, let's start with the Thalia. And then let's go ahead and play Ajani. And then, yeah, look at that. Fury deals 4. So we can actually kill the Felia and flip our own Ajani. And we've got Thalia protection up at the moment, so yes. Okay. Let's create a token. So no red creatures yet, but we can always top deck one. We've also got the Lutri, so we can sort of get that eventually. Taking 5 off that first hit makes that pretty awkward. I think we just have to lose the life again. 7. All right, they are gonna start getting cards. That's for sure. So we've got 5 mana. Elspeth costs 6. Alright, I think we're just making another Cat Warrior token here. And then we have enough mana to put the Lutri into our hand. Let's see if they have any flash threats or if they're just fetching. Enduring Curiosity. Alright. Was not expecting that. I was sort of... Okay, I mean, that's actually pretty good for us because now we just get to Elspeth. So yeah, let's do that. I'm really happy with how that worked out, actually. Alright. 2 tokens. I guess we got a little ahead of ourselves playing the... activating the Ajani. We could have made double tokens there instead. Alright, you can draw a card. So yeah, they're very counter heavy. It looks like they're blue, black, splash, white based off what we've seen so far. But you never know, they could splash Murderous Cut. That's just like a little bit of a weird splash, I think, whereas Felia is powerful enough to splash. Alright, that's not a bad card. I'm just trying to think, is there a way for us to get a red permanent into play this turn off Showdown of the Skulls? I think there is. I think what we can do is we could potentially find Figure of Destiny. Otherwise, there's like Mountain Headline. Mountain Naya or Stadium Headliner that we could have hit as well. Alright, I mean, that was an excellent hit. So let's go ahead and play our land. Let's make 2 cat tokens. Oh, red permanent. Alright. You can see I don't often get to flip Ajani. That was great. I think earlier I was saying as well that you can use Urza's Saga to find Portable Hole, which is not correct. But I think we'll still run... We will still run the Urza's Saga in this deck, even though it's got only 1 hit, just because I think it is quite powerful in these aggro decks. And we've got a couple of small synergies with it as well, like the Elspeth. Alright. Next match. Alright, I mean, this hand is quite strong as well. We have the Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Hopefully coming down on turn 2. Alright, play Plateau. Thundering Falls, so often they won't have a Strip Mine or a Wasteland. And if we want to play any of our 3s, we have to play this Plateau and the Ancient Tomb. Alright, so yeah, we'll play Fable here. Makti is a little bit annoying because the Treasure, if we attack with Goblin Shaman, it's going to come in tapped and we're not going to be able to use it. A potential line we had available to us would have been attacking with Goblin Shaman and then being able to hardcast Fury or Elspeth, but that's cut off to us at the moment. Alright, we're going to get rid of, I think, Tersa and Detective's Phoenix here. Yeah, let's do that. Alright. So we don't have a great turn here. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to attack with Goblin Shaman. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this trade. Alright, what's our best option now? It's probably just a Stadium Headliner coming into play. And a Loot Tree into hand. I kind of feel like they might have a counterspell that they're holding up here. But we'll see how this goes. I think the Fable flipping is going to provide a lot of pressure, so they are going to have to put something into play. Alright. So a couple of options here. So they don't know about the Solitude. So there's a chance they would just try and ambush this Stadium Headliner if they have a flash threat here. And then we could blow that out with a Solitude. Let's play the Plains they know about. The alternative would be playing Elspeth Stormslayer now, because then Stadium Headliner would make an extra token. But let's just crack in with Headliner. And then who knows, if they play like an Enduring Curiosity like we got hit with in the last game, that would be quite good. Because we'd be able to Solitude it. Alright, a really interesting turn for us. I mean, I'm just going to pass here, I think. I don't really want to jam into all this mana. There's a chance we can snag something with Solitude. This Reflection of Kiki Jiki is quite powerful as well. So it's going to apply some pressure to our opponent. We get punished in the sense that we allowed them to play the Dig Through Time this turn to find some more interaction, potentially, but they really need to do something first here, so we'll see what happens. Alright, Flame Slash. If they don't do anything, I'm just going to play Lutri so that we have some more pressure in play. We don't really have that many spells to copy in this deck anyway. Okay, an Oko. Create a food. Alright, so I got single blue up, so unless they have a free counter, we can pay for a Spell Pierce for this Elspeth using our treasure. So I think the play here for us is Elspeth, and we're going to try and kill this Oko by zeroing Elspeth to put counters on our permanents. Coming here, and then our 2 tokens, we'll go with them. Alright, Galvanic Discharge, that's okay. So I've got a few options now, so essentially we'll sort of see what they do with this Oko. If they can finish off our Elspeth, that would be quite a problem for us here. But we still have ways to win. So if they commit their whole turn to killing Elspeth here, and they tap out, we actually have a lethal line, so we can play Fury, equip it with the Detective's Phoenix, so it'll be a 5/5 double strike, and then Stadium Headliner is going to make a 1/1 token, which is going to lethal them as well. So they have to be careful. That's on board, like they can see the Fury, they can see the Phoenix. So if something like that happens, you know, it's quite committal for us, so we'll see how we go, but they at least have to try and deal with the Elspeth while not being dead on board. So see if they do that. Okay, they put Lutri into hand. Alright, first things first, I'm just going to start by plussing Elspeth. Then I think I'm just going to go for that Fury line. See what happens. Like if they counter this, we can't kill the Oko. Alright, Mana Leak. Sure. Alright, feeling a bit silly for not playing that land. That's okay. Alright, I think we're just going to kill the Oko anyway. And I think I'm just going to use the Stadium Headliner. At this point, I think we've got enough pressure. I'd rather sandbag the Figure of Destiny so that we can pitch cast the Solitude if we have to. We also have a line at the moment where we can sacrifice the Stadium Headliner to deal damage equal to the number of creatures that we control. If we do that, Detective's Phoenix is going to drop off and just be a creature, so we could deal 3 damage if we need to at the moment. Treasure Cruise. Alright, so they've got Cruise, Dig Through Time, and they have Recall in their deck, so they are just churning through. Alright, so really hoping they don't have like a bolt effect or something here. Alright, I'm just going to chump block. Okay. They had to discard. That's pretty funny. All right. All right. So I think this turn we're definitely playing the Solitude. I think the Dragon's Rage Channeler probably has to go. Alright, I'm going to start with Thalia. See if we can prompt a response. Alright. I'm going to plus the Elspeth again. I don't think we want to give flying here. Although the counter on Thalia would be quite nice. Because then we could block the food token with First Strike pretty easily. But yeah, for now, let's just crack in with Stadium Headliner again. So, yeah, it feels like they're thinking about blocking with the Dragon's Rage Channeler. Which kind of feels like they might have picked up a sweeper if they're looking at that. So I guess the question is, do we need this Figure of Destiny to win, or is the figure something that could help us to win through a sweeper? I think I would rather sandbag the figure still. And we'll see what happens. Ooh, Fiery Confluence. Alright. So, what are they doing with this? 4 damage to me, 1 damage to each creature. Alright, I am just going to let that resolve, I think. Alternatively, I could throw the Stadium Headliner. So what? I could throw the Stadium Headliner and still play Solitude. Yeah, I think I'm just going to let that resolve. So there's a world where they can still, like, they can try to kill us here instead of killing Elspeth. And I'm a little bit interested in what that would look like for us. So we can still save the Elspeth here, even if they have an answer or a counterspell for the Solitude, using the Stadium Headliner. So let's go ahead and do that. I suppose I'd rather Lutri was exiled. Okay, past to blockers. So we've got a choice here as well. We could potentially just let the Elspeth take the damage and then try to swing back for lethal. That would be what? Exact lethal, and they could potentially, like, all they need is a blocker. So I think I'm happy to just make this trade instead. Alright, Amped Raptor. Okay, they hit an Unholy Heat. They don't have Delirium. So, pretty happy that we blocked. That worked out pretty well. Alright. I mean, I think that's just lethal, if they don't have anything. So let's go for that. Cool. Alright. 2-0. So yeah, a couple of misplays with this deck so far, but yeah, it's interesting. A lot of the time these red-white decks are reasonably straightforward, but I think one of the best things about Cube is you just end up in these really interesting game states regardless. Like, you know, particularly when you look at something like 5 mana Elspeth that's doubling tokens, we've got a lot of weird synergies with that in the deck. Like Fable of the Mirror Breaker, if we make like a token of something, Elspeth goes ahead and makes an extra copy of it as well. So there are a few different things that you can try and set up or try and think about that you might not get out of a standard limited set. So if you've been thinking about playing the Cube but haven't jumped in, would sort of strongly encourage you to give it a crack. Alright, ready for the next match. What do we got here? Alright, we're on the play. This hand looks pretty solid. Nothing too busted, but pretty happy to just kick off with a Stadium Headliner here and then see where we go from there. Could potentially Portable Hole a Mox if they have one, otherwise just Figure, level up Figure. Not an exciting play, but passable. Alright, Chain Lightning, fair enough, fair enough. Alright, I'm just going to Figure and pass. Nothing really does 1 damage at instant speed, so I'd rather, you know, pretend like I've got something, especially given I've got Eagles of the North. Arena's going to give me some stops to help sell it anyway. Alright, a little bit awkward here. So we could level up the Figure of Destiny, but then they can potentially get a hit in with Magda. It would be great if we could just Portable Hole and leave up Lightning Helix, but we don't have that option because we don't have 2 white sources. So let's just play the Hole, I think. Get rid of the Magda. Crack in for 2, and then we're in a bit of a middle ground when it comes to cycling the Eagles of the North. I think we should do it just because we're missing our second white source, and that can get us Plateau. But given we've got 4 lands, like, we could potentially cast it this game, and it could be relevant. Black-red, they've got some like mid-rangey pieces, like this Magda. Alright, well, I know what we're doing next turn, and it's killing that Lelia. So hopefully they don't hit a Mox or something. Alright. I'm fine with them not having access to that anymore. Cycle this. Get the Plateau. Actually, might as well get a Plains. If it's black-red aggro, they often run things like Wasteland. and we don't really need an extra red source, so I'm pretty happy just doing this. Alright, perfect. Got a 2-drop to go along with Thalia. Sorry, to go along with the Helix. Next turn, reasonable play would just be leveling up the figure. We can wait to put Lutra in our hand. It's not like we've really got anything to copy, and plus copying with the Thalia out is really tough. So we'll see how we go. A really solid curve out from our opponent so far. We've had a pretty good start as well. Alright. Just trying to think how easy it is for them to get Delirium at instant speed. So they would need a 1-mana instant, so they could have something like a Fatal Push. And then they would need to Surveil. I guess a land would be the most reasonable type into the graveyard. I think it's still just worth attacking. Like, we can't really play scared here. Especially given we've got nothing else. Alright, same thing, really minor edge, but we'll just play the Mountain over the Sunbillow Verge here. Plan is to level up Figure of Destiny again next turn. So this just means we don't have a land that could be wastelanded. Our opponent's turn was really weak previously, so the fact they just played a Dragon's Rage Channeler and a tap land. So we'll see, maybe this Thalia is doing some work. Alright, she's not doing work anymore. She is dead. Bowmaster, excellent card. If they have an answer for the figure, we're in a lot of trouble. Otherwise, this thing seems like our game plan. Alright, they do have an answer for the figure, and they're giving their Dragon's Rage Channeler Delirium. So our best draw now is definitely Fiery Confluence. I'll probably just Wrath the board if we draw that. Okay. Let's just go ahead. We'll play Makti and put Lutra into hand. Alright, looks like they might have another removal spell. Interesting they chose to be in the Douthie Voidwalker. That could mean they have a really powerful 5-drop and they just want to hit an extra land for that. Alright, they do have a Sheoldred. Alright, what do we hit? We hit a Plateau, so not great. Let's think about this. So what? So we're going to take 5, we're going to take 9 on their attacks. And then 2. Go to 1. I mean, I think we have to attack. I think we have to play the land. I think the Lutra just has to come down and block. And then we need something to go right for us in this game. If they have anything, like if they have a wheel effect or something, we're just super dead. Like, there's nothing we can do to kill them with all the Sheoldred triggers on the stack or whatever. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how much they get in with. Alright, no blocks. Right, Fable. So at the moment, I think our main outs are if we hit Fire Blast or if we hit Fiery Confluence, we just kill them with the Lutri. Nothing else really matters, so I think we just sandbag the Lutri in hand, and it's good that we didn't have to run it out. Alright, this is really our last chance. Alright, well, I think we still have the Fire Blast out, but we lose the Confluence out here. So let's see how we go. Alright, is that enough? So let's crack in for 2 first. Play land. Hold full control. Fire Blast you. 1, 2. Lutri. Alright. Wow. That was a sweet one. That, yeah, that was nice. Alright, up to rank 24. Let's see how far we can push it on this one. Alright. So we're on the play. Our hand isn't very proactive. I think we have to keep it still. We've got a little bit of interaction. I would rather have like some creatures that I could develop. But, I mean, we can win a longer game. It's hopefully going to be good against aggro or creature-based decks. So, alright. This is a terrifying start from our opponent, but we at least have some interaction. Let's see if they have something else. They do. Alright, so how do we want to sequence this? We probably need to Lightning Helix Figure. And I'm going to give them an opportunity to level it up. I mean, yeah, if they don't level it up, it's more likely they're playing a 3-drop, and I'd rather sandbag the Lightning Helix for a better card, so... Alright. I am just going to Helix that, I think. Assuming they... I mean, if they name instant, that makes it a bit harder. Alright. I think that's still worthwhile for us, though. Okay, so what is our game plan here then? Yeah, I'm going to Helix the Yera and Oski. And then I think we're just going to take a huge chunk, potentially, from this Figure of Destiny. But I don't really think we've got another option at this point. Okay. A Clamp, interesting. Carnage Interpreter. Alright, I mean, this one's going to be tough. Alright, let's see if we can find a way through, though. Okay. So, on board, we could potentially be taking 10. We could play the Showdown of the Skulls. How much does that do for us? Not really that much. If we play Stadium Headliner, we can threaten to kill the Bomat Courier with it. So we can play Headliner, block Figure of Destiny, blow up Bomat Courier. They draw 4 cards off it. I think we just have to play this Showdown. I think we just need multiple things to go right for us. Okay. I mean, that's a good start. I mean, this Fury gets us a long way. So we'll play Fury. This is interesting. We could Fire Blast to just clear their whole board here. Then next turn we're not really doing anything. So yeah, let's just do this. Okay, 2, 1, 1. Alright, and then next turn we've got 5 mana. We're not in bad shape next turn, potentially. It would have been great if we could have waited to play the Fury so that we could flip our Ajani. But it's not on the cards. So let's see what happens here. Okay. They get to flip their Ajani, which is a bit of a problem. That was a really good draw for them. But that's alright. We got Fury, so that was great for us. So, I mean, yeah, we're probably going to be priced into Fire Blasting next turn, maybe. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that, actually. Because that shrinks the Carnage Interpreter. And that means Laelia can potentially kill the Ajani. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to play this Laelia. And I'm going to attack their Ajani. Okay, they have a Dismember. Alright. Dismember is okay. Can't do anything about that. So we're definitely playing in extra planes. Then we're playing our own copy of Ajani. We are Fire Blasting their Ajani. And then we'll level up our Cat Warrior token. Alright. So the Solitude is looking like it's probably not going to be cast for a little while. Alright, ooh, Amped Raptor is scary. Let's see what they hit. Was that a Hellrider? It was. Alright. So they can now Skull Clamp the Raptor and draw some cards. Alright, we're going to take 5, which is a bit dangerous because this Dismember is going to put us down to 1. Okay, they flickered the token. That's probably game. I don't know if we can come back from that. Alright, let's see what we draw. Okay, so we can Dismember, going to 1, and then die. Alright, GG. Yeah, that was a really interesting game. Yeah, it's always fun when you get a couple of free spells in there and you can do a few different bits and pieces. But yeah, their curve out was really, really good. And our hand was just a little bit reactive, but not really reactive in the way like we don't want to pitch cast a Solitude to kill a Bomat Courier, right? Or a Figure of Destiny. Yeah. So I think that was the real issue. Like, I think if they'd been on a deck where they're just developing one huge threat and sinking a bunch of resources into it, then our hand could have been quite effective. But yeah, we potentially needed the Fury maybe a turn sooner. Maybe that would have given us enough sort of breathing room there. But yeah, on to the next one. Alright, got our next opponent here. Alright, I'm a simple man. I see a Soul Ring, I keep my hand. So we could go double 2-drop on 2, potentially, if the Soul Ring survives. The Thalia is going to cut off the Elspeth. Alright. But it doesn't cut off this Solitude, so we've got an option there as well. I think it's pretty crazy to just, like, pitch cast the Solitude, deal with the Noble here, so not considering that. Obviously, if they play like an Oko or something, it's rough, and that's sort of one of our ways to get sort of under the 3-drop. We can then play the Thalia and stop them playing a non-creature or whatever, but I don't know, I think this is going to be better for us. Alright, goodbye Sol Ring. The good news is we still have just like a solid curve out. Alright, another creature. Alright, so what's going to play better against this style of deck? So I think if they were just a green deck, I would just be slamming the Mukti here. But given they've shown us the blue and the red as well, the Thalia might actually be a bit more effective. So I'm just going to play Thalia here to hopefully slow them down a little bit. Next turn, the plan is to either find a land off Eagles of the North to try and set up for a hardcast Solitude / Elspeth potentially down the line. Otherwise, we might be forced to use the pitch cast ability on Solitude using the Eagles of the North. Oh god, that is super effective against us, isn't it? It's very funny because, yeah, the Mukti would have been excellent here. Alright, so what do we want to do? Do we just want to Solitude this dragon down? We probably do. I'm going to wait for them to attack so that they get the Exalted trigger onto the Nova Hellkite, rather than just attacking with the Noble Hierarch after we kill it. Let's stop them gaining an extra point of life, though. Alright, kill the Hellkite. Ancient Tomb was actually a very good draw. So now I'm pretty happy just playing the Mukti. Let's just get some more creatures in play to potentially block before this Elspeth comes down. This is also better if they have a Planeswalker or something like that. Oh god, this is scary. Alright, we're going to get clamped to oblivion here, I think. Alright, so now our game plan, we just have to get aggressive. We just have to try and beat them before this card draw beats us. Given they're at 23, that's going to be a bit challenging. But we'll do our best. Alright, Urza Saga, and then are they going to clamp one of their elves? I guess she's not an elf, but okay. That's a good attack. I'm just going to take it. I mean, now they would have to clamp the Noble. They might have wanted to clamp the elf, and then they could have attacked for 3, and then at end of turn they would have drawn the card. Alright, so yeah, they're pretty much doing the same thing. Alright, Fury. I mean, that's going to be great. Obviously, we can't cast it yet. So let's play Elspeth. Oh, of course, they couldn't make that play because it wasn't exalted till the end there. Alright, good attack from the opponent there. Alright. Let's make some tokens. Attack. Alright, so if this Elspeth survives, we've definitely got some moves. It's definitely awkward that I think we got 3 for 1 by this Nova Hellkite in exile. But drawing that Ancient Tomb was huge. Like, I think we would be pretty dead without that. Shifting Woodland. Alright. So that's interesting. So they've almost got Delirium. They're one type off. What funny plays do they have? They can copy the Cloud, and then they could clamp the Shifting Woodland and draw 4 cards again. So we'll see if that happens. They're going to get Delirium when this Urza Saga dies. So they'll have the option next turn. Alright, let's see what they do here. Alright, we're just killing a token. That's fine. Fable. Alright, would have loved to draw a mountain this turn so we could just hard cast the Fury. But I think we're just forced to evoke the Fury this turn. I mean, Portable Hole is a great draw as well. So let's make two things. Let's attack. I think, you know what? I think we might just be ahead again, actually. So we'll put Lutri into hand. We are going to now evoke Fury using Lutri. Okay, and now I'm going to Portable Hole the Clamp. Alright. So our opponent gets some triggers. They could definitely do some scary stuff here. I think they might have wanted to do these in a separate order. Unless they're not discarding any cards to Fable, because then they could have discarded cards, see what they draw, and then choose if they want to, you know, make a token off the Saga or not. Probably pretty unlikely they want to make a token off the Saga regardless, but you never know. It's nice to sort of save the option. Okay, Teferi and Questing Druid. So Shifting Woodland could become a copy of anything in their bin. I don't think there's anything too crazy they could do with that this turn. But an interesting interaction to keep in mind. I think, yeah, their best plays probably come from the hand, but we'll see what they can do with 6 cards. Flage is a good one. Yep, Flage is scary. Alright, so I'm assuming that's Makdi down. Yep. Our opponent's mana is quite ambitious given they've got an Urza Saga and we've only seen one fetch land, but that was an excellent draw again. We've gotten quite lucky here. Alright. Let's fire up our showdown. That was crazy actually. That was probably the best draw in our deck. Alright, a little bit awkward in terms of not having enough red mana here, so play a land. Let's plus, actually let's count lethal. So what, so if we could do 6 and then 9 damage, so we could do 15, and then we just need to find 6 more damage. We have Fiery Confluence, so if we drew a mountain, that would be lethal. So what, is Shifting Woodland just going to try to become Flage? Is that the joke? And then they're going to attack the Elspeth? I mean, I think I just need the Elspeth back. Yeah, let's just do this. And then somehow if our board survives, it's still 10 damage if we jump everything with Elspeth. We could play Tersa, jump everything, have 14, that would get us a showdown trigger, and if we draw another mountain, we would have Helix for lethal then. Oh, okay, so we're just getting strip mined here then. So they could hit Elspeth for 6 here. Going up to 24. It would take the whole turn, but it is a good play. Okay, Chariot. Okay, we hit a mountain. That's quite good. Alright, so what does it look like if we just play Tersa and plus? We would have 14 damage. Alternatively, we could just Lightning Helix, take out this Reflection. Yeah, this Shifting Woodland plus Flage is a problem, I think. It makes wanting to get too aggressive not feel super good. I could kill the Reflection this way. Yeah, I think I'm just going to kill the Reflection here. Counter here. And then really things aren't really getting better for us, are they? So we're attacking. The question is with how much. So they don't get the Flage ETB, they just get one attack trigger, is that right? Okay. 3. Yeah. Yeah, the time has come. Let's crack in. Now, if they get too aggressive, we might not need anything else to win. You know, I should have left one extra token back, I think. Because now the Flage play on board is just too strong. If they copy the Flage with the Shifting Woodland, they can eat our token on attack, kill the Elspeth, crew with the Chariot, and then they'll be on 12, and we'll be on 9. Sorry, yeah, we won't take any damage, but them going up to 12 is definitely a problem. Yeah, I think that was a costly mistake, actually. Alright, it looks like they're just going to hardcast the Flage. Does this Shifting Woodlands play just not work the way I think? Alright. They can just crew, they can kill the Elspeth here. So yeah, that's a big issue for us. They can equip. So yeah, we need to top deck this turn now to make up for our punt. Alright, so Chariot means the tokens are tapped and attacking. So yeah, they don't even have to get in with the cats. Alright, so what outs do we have now? Being constrained to single red is a problem here as well. Alright. Alright. Good game, opponent. On to the next one. Alright, we've got our next opponent here. Okay. So we're on the draw. Our hand is just too slow, I think. Obviously would love to be playing like Fable. It's probably one of our best cards, but yeah, I think we just toss this back. Try to find something to do, which we do. Yeah, happy to keep this. Probably just bin the Portable Hole because we have Dismember, and that's just going to be, I think, a more effective removal spell. play Mountain into Stadium Headliner. You know what? That was a mistake. Should have played the Plateau. I was thinking about Wasteland, but now we've cut ourselves off from Ajani plus Dismember if they play a creature we want to remove. Alright, we don't get punished. Let's play the Ajani. Crack in for 2. Elspeth, pretty good draw. It's hard for them to attack us with the Corey Steelcutter unless, if they just play double removal spell or something, kill the Ajani, I guess it gets pretty easy for them. Soul Ring, eh? Alright. Okay. Yeah, wisely no attacks from the opponent. Okay. So a couple of options here. We can take a heap of damage here. So we could Dismember, go into 14, and play the Detective's Phoenix as well off the Ancient Tomb. I think we'd probably do that. I mean, we get to wait and see if we want to... yeah, if we want to Dismember or not. But we probably will before we get this Elspeth down. Alright, Fairy Mastermind down. Little Teferi. Alright, so they're going to bounce this token. So yeah, I think we do just Dismember the Goblin Shaman now. Alright, so they bounce the token. They probably play another spell. Okay. Alright. So yeah, we'll see what they kill here. They could just kill the Phoenix. Yep, to make it harder for us to kill their Teferi. Wow, okay, so they really value that Teferi at the moment, do they? So what can we do about that? I mean, we can kill it on board at the moment. But they would just get to eat one of our cards. So if we attack, we make a token. I mean, I think we're just playing the Elspeth. And then, yeah, I think, yeah. Let's just hold our board back to block this turn. The Corey Steelcutter granting Trample is interesting as well. They've got lines where they can use Legion Extruder, sacrifice the Soul Ring, equip Corey Steelcutter to the token, and they've got a 4-power Trampler, so I think we just want to be able to block as much as we can. They can also play a scary creature here, give the Reflection of Kiki Jiki haste using the Corey Steelcutter as well, and make a copy of that creature as well, so we'll see what happens. Alright, Time Spiral. I mean, we get the cards as well, so let's see. Let's see if we can string something together here. It's obviously very scary. There's a lot they could do here. Minsk and Boo. Okay. Alright. This is definitely scary. Alright. So, what would we have to do to keep Elspeth alive? God, we're so close to killing them on the crackback. We've got the Rampaging Raptor and the Lightning Helix we can play next turn. So if we just let this happen, play Rampaging Raptor, attack, they can make a 3-3, block the Raptor. So that doesn't work. So I think, yeah, we have to try to keep Elspeth alive. I think we have to block with a Johnny in case they have another way to give prowess. And then I don't think we want to block with the Stadium Headliner to try and trade for the token. I think we want to keep the Headliner. And then we give ourselves some outs for lethal, I guess. Would have to be like, we really need like Fire Blast. Alright, so the Legion Extruder just stops us here, is the problem. So that's what's preventing our lethal at the moment. Five, 7. Alright, so I think we're just clearing the Planeswalkers then. I'll play another land in case of miscalc. I mean, what happens if I just hardcast Fury? No, that has to be worse than this. Whoop. Oh no, we timed out. Oh, that's really bad. Alright. Alright, I guess we are hardcasting Fury then. Alright, unfortunate. Still getting used to streaming, so sorry about that. Let's make some tokens. Alright, so I think if I'd had a little bit more time, what I would have done is jump the Rampaging Raptor. Play Rampaging Raptor, 0 Elspeth, put counters on everything. Rampaging Raptor attacks them. Stadium Headliner attacks Teferi. Rampaging Raptor hits, I get to deal damage to the Minskin booth, finishing it off. And then we clear their walkers and just try and win a bit more of a fair game. I think we're just getting overpowered though. Being on the draw against the Sol Ring start has really just killed us here. So, a bit unfortunate, but I think, yeah, they're going to make short work of us. Alright, so we're not dead on board at the moment. They still haven't used Minskin Boo. They haven't used Teferi. Okay, they throw Boo. I'm assuming they're killing Teferi. Oh, sorry, the Fury. Yep. Really good odds the Elspeth dies this turn as well. Okay, weird play from the opponent. Because now we get to save our Elspeth. I think they needed to get in with the trample token, but we'll see. Maybe they have a way to finish it off. Urza, okay. Okay, prismatic ending. Okay, so maybe we've got a chance. Soul Guard Lantern, okay. Get rid of the Fury. Alright, so they're on 12, so do we have any crazy ways to lethal them? Probably not. 5, 6, 7. Alright, so I think this turn we are definitely getting in with the Rampaging Raptor. We're not making that mistake again. And I think we're playing Fable of the Mirror Breaker as well. That's going to make us 2 tokens. Rampaging Raptor is more important though. So if we make 2 tokens, we'll have at least 1 to chump block their construct token. Teferi is going to bounce the other. So like we could definitely just die here, but I think this just gives us the best shot of winning. Yeah, attack you. Okay, and then yeah, Minsk and Boo has to die. Otherwise we die. Alright, well suddenly we've got a pathway to victory, so if we manage to survive a turn and they're still on 7 life, we have Lightning Helix plus Overlord of the Boiler Bilges for exact lethal. So alright. Let's see what you got, opponent. Lots of throws back and forth. That's the sort of joy of the vintage cube. If they at any point have a removal spell, or if they get enough prowess, we're just straight dead. So, you know, if I were them, I might have just activated the Urza there. Okay. All right. So we're at 3, which is also a key ingredient for us to be able to tap the... Oh, never mind. All right. Opponent played perfectly. All right. Classic vintage cube. You think you're back in it. You think you might get the win, but then time walk you. So yeah, great format. Interesting draft. I think we had a couple of options in the draft. We ended up like a little bit short on playables. So I had to run some cards I wasn't super thrilled to be running necessarily, and I think our curve was a little bit too high. Would have been really good if we could have gotten there on the Stoneforge cloud aspect, just because our deck kind of lacked some of that card advantage. We were really relying on our heavy drops to sort of give us a little bit of that virtual card advantage. So Elspeth did a lot of work in that regard, just giving us sort of multiple cards worth of value in a lot of those games. Showdown of the Skalds, very impressive as well. But yeah, we lacked some of that early pressure. Didn't quite have as many sort of Soul Ring draws as we would have liked. But overall, a fun one. Little disappointing to go 3-3, but is what it is. I'll see you for the next one. Bye.